Welcome everyone, I'm Betty, and if you're new to this channel, please feel free to subscribe. Each month, the Divine and I channel messages and transmit light language activation codes. And if you'd like more information about light language or are interested in scheduling a session, you can visit my website listed in the description box below. All right, so April's video is very personal for me, and I'm sure many of you will relate to this subject. I don't normally speak about myself having ADHD or dyslexia for the reasons of being energetically labeled by others. And before I go any further, I am not a licensed doctor, but I do speak from a lifetime of personal experience as well as the channeled information from Archangel Michael. Now, the subject came up when I was having a conversation with Michael and asked about the influx of beings arriving on our planet with what is now being dubbed as neurodiversity. And of course, there are always multiple reasons why a soul chooses to come in with what I call effects. But most academics and doctors only see it from a point of dysfunction. And in one sense, that's true, as it is a diversion in the brain and the neural pathways. But at the same time, it represents our next step in evolutionary consciousness. Now, when I was growing up, it was a virtual unknown. I was simply labeled as inattentive, lacking focus, and needing to try harder. And at least that's what all of my report cards read, which led to the comments of, "What's wrong with you?" What I did find interesting was I never studied, looking back, yet my grades were always sufficient. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that I had the ability to absorb information. So whether it was the teacher speaking, the kids, whatever was going on with them, what was going out on the hallway, outside, and inside my own consciousness, I was absorbing it all at the same time. Now, it would appear that I was daydreaming or not listening, yet I was able to absorb all of the information, not realizing at the time I was receiving multidimensionally. So on the surface, society may see neurodiversity as a disability or a dysfunction, but looking deeper, they are sensitive, intuitive, and empathic souls, having the ability to be able to tap into not only the collective, but also individual thoughts, emotions, and intentions without a word being spoken. So they were hearing both the external and the internal, what was going on. So with this ability to read and receive energy, it can be very overwhelming at times. So what is normal for some can cause high anxiety and frustration and panic for those that are sensitive. And it may appear to be overstimulation, but it is also a sign of heightened awareness. Once recognized and understood, these are very powerful tools that can be utilized to reveal insights and guidance not necessarily experienced within the lower realms. And there are individuals like Edgar Cayce who have the ability to absorb an immense amount of information. He would place a book underneath his pillow at night before going to bed, and he would download the information while he was sleeping, and then upon awakening, he was able to retain all the information that was in the book. So on one hand, individuals won't always flourish in an academic setting, but outside of the classroom, they may choose to learn a course of interest by teaching themselves. For example, you can take Michael Phelps. He was famous for not only being the most decorated Olympian in his swimming category, but for coming out of the ADHD closet. He learned to tap in and to focus and to harness his mind like a laser when he swam, because it was something that he loved. He truly enjoyed it. And that's what's so important for these individuals, is that you find their passion and they will flourish just as he did. Comprehension can also be a challenge. Test taking can be particularly hard because it makes no sense to them. The neurodiverse don't see just one answer. They see multiple creative solutions. So when faced with that on a test, it's very confusing because they don't feel like the answers fit, at least not in their mind. And unfortunately, our current educational system is designed to memorize and to mold these individuals. The problem is that doesn't allow for the encouragement of free thinking either. You go through the motions, and as long as you memorize and you have everything down, you get a passing grade, but it doesn't allow for that creative essence to come to the surface. Now, our greatest inventors, creators, and thinkers were and are neurodiverse. The ones in our past, such as Albert Einstein, Mozart, John Lennon, Walt Disney, Da Vinci, they brought us all wonderful gifts. And more recently, we've had souls such as Steven Spielberg, who doesn't love his movies? How creative was he to bring these ideas that he had to life? Richard Branson, who's taken us to space. Cher. And you can go on and on. Jennifer Aniston, Emma Watson, Billie Eilish, and so many more, each unique in their own way, but yet contributing to the collective and to the planet. The neurodiverse soul may also experience the feeling of being unable to tap into the genius that lies within them, almost like a barrier that can't be breached. The information isn't in there, but they have trouble getting it out. Okay, thank you. They're giving me the example of myself. I also had a speech impediment, so I had trouble being able to bring my words to life. I couldn't find the words that needed to be said. But yet, when I realized my gift of light language, everything flowed with grace and ease. And it was like I was speaking my natural language and not something that was difficult or foreign for me to bring forth. And when I work with clients that are neurodiverse, I am able to look within their brain and see their genius. I see the quotients. I see the mathematical equations, the formulas, the light codes, the sacred geometry. And they're all geniuses within, waiting and wanting to be unlocked. And some never have that opportunity, but now with things changing on the planet, there's more availability from the spiritual aspect to recognize their gifts and what they have. ADHD runs in my family, and I witnessed it with my own daughter at the age of 2. I would go to endless meetings with teachers, psychologists, doctors, counselors, tutors, and they always threw it back at me because they didn't know what to do to make it better so that my daughter would fit in. They would suggest if I would spend more time with her studying at home, it would surely help. If I took her to this particular doctor, it would help. If I would medicate her, that would help. If I followed the IEPs and calendars, that would work. And I know they meant well, but what they failed to understand was she wasn't any different at home than she was at school. So all the rules in the world, the charts, the chores, taking away playtime, toys, punishment, encouragement, didn't mean anything because she was simply fine in her own head, creating and exploring within. So there came a point where I chose to try the medications, and she became soulless, for lack of a better word. There was no life in her. It took away who she was. So she went from a happy, loving child to a sad and withdrawn child that would now fit the mold for everyone else. She did not like the way she felt. I didn't like her emotionless state. So we ended the medication. Now, many will blame the food, the preservatives, the food coloring, the vaccines, sugar, and of course, everything, it all plays a part. But part of the equation that is left out is the spiritual aspect. So, to look at things a little differently, where one may see, oh, that individual is being inattentive, we must also look at the other side, that they're absorbing and downloading information. They're receiving and transmitting multidimensionally. They have an antenna to the divine. Where one may see dysfunction, there is intuition, being empathic, tapping into higher consciousness. Where one sees an academic underachiever, there is inventors, innovators, artists, comedians, and entrepreneurs. Where one sees a lack of focus, there is creative genius, focusing on passions, creating a flourishing life. So there are so many different aspects to the neurodiverse, and it is on an individual basis. But Archangel Michael would like to share from his divine perspective what they see. And that is that this is a stepping stone, an evolutionary phase. Many souls have traveled across space and time to experience this divergence. Part planetary ascension, part personal growth. And the effort to increase numbers over the last decades of neurodiversity is for the purpose of integrating education on a multidimensional level. There are many souls who chose this contract for this particular lifetime to understand and preferably overcome what are perceived limitations, and to bring awareness not only to their individual uniqueness, but to share and teach higher consciousness, which is more desirable than humanity's diluted and false power. And as the planet moves through these various changes, the body and mind will change. As carbon bodies change to crystalline, there will be a fusing of our brain. The left hemisphere, which is male, and the right hemisphere, which is female, will fuse together as one, resulting in a galactic human of higher consciousness. Now, some of you might have seen skulls if you watch, like some of the programs about archaeology or history. You see where they have found skulls where it is fused together. And those were our ancient ancestors who were able to have that higher consciousness and had that fusing. We will also, as well, have the rewiring of our brain and a fully open third eye. So there will be no disconnect anymore. We will be fully engaged and fully aligned, enabling the galactic human to interpret and converse with other divine races multidimensionally. So souls that chose this life to be neurodiverse are that of a prototype DNA that is forming the future in a magnificent way. This is enabling mankind to rejoin their rightful place in the universe. Higher consciousness, ellipse neurodiversity, and true enlightenment dissolves it. So, enabling and returning those to their true energetic form. For those who have contracted this prototype life form, Archangel Michael is saying, embrace it with all your heart. As you overcome the flesh and embody the light. Now you will be criticized, you will be attacked, and you will be hurt. But learn to forgive, for they too are unconscious as they contracted to be in this life, to come back to the light, to find their way. So forgive those who do not understand, but instead help them to understand the diversity. Now, for those who parent and befriend all those souls, great patience shall be needed, and kindness and understanding to all those who are unique and different. And as these souls are in disguise of their true form, just like you are, as, quote, normal people are, which, what is normal? Love and nurture them as they are humanity's gateway to the future. And some advice would be to help guide them with physical activities. Physical activities are very important because it grounds them. It helps them decrease anxiety and to promote calmness. To nurture them in settings of intimate gatherings with friends and loved ones, creating environmental harmony. To teach them to meditate will provide an opportunity for them to still the mind, to be present and peace, and to be able to harness that power within. And to take them into nature without devices, and this allows them to ignite their soul power. And to speak words of love and wisdom to them, not shame or disappointment, or that they are not enough, because this is the way to create the gateway for a new human, a galactic human. I just want to see if he wants to add anything else. Love eclipses all. So not only, he's asking you not only to have respect and love for these individuals that were brave enough to come into this world with these different effects, but also to share that with everyone. Love is always the key. And he's saying, thank you for allowing me to share this with everyone. Okay. Thank you. All right. Alrighty, so we're gonna, okay, he's finished. Okay. So this month's light language transmission, I received downloads for the lunar eclipse. These are higher harmonies and plasmic frequencies. So what I received, I'm going to pass along to you. It was a very potent time. I was higher than a kite. It was just the feeling of the plasma, which is just so much love. It was really overwhelming. I thought I was floating. So I would love to pass that along this month to you. And you can come back to it as often as you need it. Okay, so Let us begin. Nahi hashia tea teo krianea mea tuya sea tea. Yereniana ya kurinyasa na uria tea aka. Arumo hayenea suishtenea kuiana na kurumba. Nenea urema akura ne asuishte aku. Sa alemea tu. Nanea kayana. Ariana to su iti akurampa asa. Teane akurane ayaku rutie sutianta. Nane akurama ayena. Suipi ishante alahu revia huramea tu suitiante. Nahariantu itia suipia. Sha'a anianea. Arienio suitianturia tusia. Forotianta su urmane akiatushta ane. Lahamurianaya asuria tiakoria tasa anna teasa turta asa nehaya haya kuria haya tusuna anane o kariata oriempiare yakrepeatusha ti na urupa asu iatiatasa nahaya tuayaka yanarisia uria tarane aku sariae oraba ashene ukaria ta uyana fiare te hapa suyini adpriatia sia hariania hayana iati mahu yahate inyatuya inyana wadasa nara ta o aka maniato soya. Thank you, everyone. Sending you so much love and light. And have a wonderful April. And I will see you next month. Okay? Blessings.